Ooh, like a last second change, like from the
I think forward
back to the
half.
front.
I might go backwards too.
But
I'm right by the pool, but the sun's not out yet.
Oh, you should keep going back and forth throughout the entire show, and people
here, this way,
just back and forth,
this way. I think this way is the way to go.
That's the way to go, man. That was a thing for a minute.
Yeah, well, that's it
was, man.
It was so bad.
I was a real tight guy, by the way. Like high school baseball, super tight, and then like started realizing like why the hell am I doing that? But I certainly did.
I might go with no hat, actually.
Okay, looking good, looking tough. Well, Merry New Year. James Palmer here with you with the Scoop City show on a Thursday. Happy New Year to everybody out there. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're going to tell you everything, not that just you need to know for Week 18, but not just seeding either. What really matters in Week 18 to give you a better concept of what your team might be doing in the postseason. Now, what we're going to go through today, we're going to go through that number one seed is still on the line in the NFC. Sam Darnold, Brock Purdy, who really can rise to the occasion in this one and give their team a better opportunity with a bye to go through the postseason. Caleb Williams can get that number 2 seed. How important is that to him in Chicago? We'll get to that, as well as we are going to go through everything that's happening with New Year's resolutions. Maybe the Bills, maybe the Rams, maybe the Packers. What could be New Year's resolutions for those organizations? I am joined by Chase Daniel, who's really still deciding whether he wants to wear a hat or not a hat. But he's in Miami. He's going to call a brilliant game today, Chase. What are you working on later today? What do we got?
We got Texas Tech, Oregon. So they asked me to do the college football playoff for radio. So ESPN National Radio, and it's going to be a blast, man. I'm literally wearing, so you come on this morning, I'm literally wearing like 2.5, 3 day old sweats with like I'm sweat all over them. And you come in here in a tux because you're celebrating the new year and you look good. Is that a real bow tie or is that a clip on bow tie?
It's a clip-on.
Yeah. Party in
You're
the
going to
front.
ask this man to tie his own bow tie? Are you telling me? Really quick, Oregon quarterback, nothing more. What do you think about him really quickly? Because obviously everybody at the top of the draft jockeying for possibly a quarterback, whether it's the Raiders who sit in that number 1 seed right now. What's your thought? Because he hasn't declared yet.
Yeah, I think he'd be silly not to, right? I think he's going to be probably the number 1 taken. Look, it's between him and Fernando Mendoza, but I think Dante Moore's stock has really been rising as of late. He's had some injuries at receiver. He's still been playing really well. Prototypical college quarterback, right? But can move a lot, and he's really good in the pocket, more athletic than Mendoza, a little bit of a stronger arm. Mendoza's more accurate. But I think that what scouts see in this guy, and this game will be a big test with Texas Tech, is that they see the ceiling for Dante Moore is a little bit higher than maybe the ceiling for Fernando Mendoza. And I think that's what scouts like. Obviously, like there's still a lot to be said in the process and going through all that stuff, but he's trending in the right way, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think a really dominant run perhaps in this playoff could be big for him and what happens and lies ahead for him. All right, let's go with the guys that are already still in the NFL right now. We still have the AFC North, the AFC South, the NFC South, and the NFC West still to be determined. And we still have the number 1 seed on both sides to be determined. Crazy. And we're going to start with the one that's in the same division. This is a massive showdown between the Seahawks and the 49ers. The division's on the line. The number 1 seed is on the line. This is the one that I have circled. What I am curious about is who has impressed you more this season, Sam Darnold or Brock Purdy?
Well, yeah, that's a tough one. But I think the more I think about it and the more we actually just put like the film on and the tape on, it's got to be Brock Purdy. Like, without a doubt. Like, I love Sam Darnold, and I think it's been a great comeback story. 13 wins for the first time ever with 2 separate teams in 2 separate years, or whatever that stat is. It's crazy.
Yep. Back-to-back years.
He wins, and he's had good defenses, and he's had good offensive coordinators and coaches and stuff like that. And he's played well. He's turned the ball over a lot, though, this year. 14 just interceptions, a lot of fumbles, taking a lot of sacks, and they're winning despite him. If you look at what San Francisco's doing, like like Kyle Shanahan has got to be skyrocketing up the coach of the year category because look, it's so easy to say, hey, every single year, okay, this is Kyle Shanahan's best coaching job. But if you really just look back and you see what he's been able to do with this injury-laden team, I mean, it is unbelievable. They've been without Kittle. They've been without Purdy. I think Purdy missed 8 games. They were able to win with Mac Jones. Fred Warner's out. All sorts of stuff. They didn't play with Kittle in Chicago. I mean, all this stuff. And it just seems like when Brock Purdy came back from his injury in his toe, right? He played that one game, I think, against Jacksonville and missed some more. He has looked unstoppable. Like, it took him a few games, maybe a game or two, game and a half, to really understand and feel the pocket around him. But since then, man, it's been hard pressed to find a quarterback that's playing as good as Brock Purdy. And it's stuff's not just like wide open like it used to be, right? They got Ricky Pearsall. They got Juwan Jennings has almost double-digit touchdowns. CMC is still obviously CMC.
Awesome.
Kyle Shanahan is dialing it up. But when you look and you really watch, and especially that Bears game, it's just really impressive to watch Brock play. He's buying time with his feet, but it's got to be Brock Purdy. This type of Brock Purdy, in my opinion, this Brock Purdy can lead the team to a Super Bowl.
I really agree. I love what Sam Darnold has done. You got to remember, this is a new team, a new offensive coordinator, a new weapon to build chemistry with, and all of it has worked well. JSN's arguably the best receiver in football. He's played in stretches in this offense to where at times, and this offense, Chase, can be somewhat unguardable and unstoppable if it's run to a T perfectly in the way that Clint Kubiak runs it, and he's getting a little bit of head coaching buzz. What I do like for Sam Darnold is he's getting a redo. He gets an opportunity to redeem himself from last year. If you remember the way it finished, that was 2 teams with a combined 28 total wins. That's the most in NFL history for a regular season game, and it was the Lions and the Vikings for the number 1 seed in the division. What happened? Well, the Vikings and Sam Darnold laid an egg, and then they play the Rams and get eliminated, lay another egg. Now he goes into this game, 25 total wins between the 2 teams, second most ever for 2 teams in a regular season game, the division and number 1 seed on the line. It's like he gets a complete redo to see if he can improve on what happened a season ago. I agree with you, though, with Brock, because this is what I have my eye on. This is, in the last 6 weeks, the best defense in football, giving up the fewest points, and the best offense in football, scoring the most points. So to me, I'm watching this Niners offense against this Seattle Seahawks defense. What I wanted to ask you about Purdy, and I think this is what's misunderstood, and I love that you say he can carry a team to the postseason, throughout the postseason, and into a Super Bowl, because I agree. It almost feels like he is a wolf in sheep's clothing. It almost, when everybody watches him, goes, well, he's not this freak athlete we're seeing with these other guys that play the position. He doesn't have wow throws, Chase. I think he does have wow throws. And from a quarterback perspective, I want you to kind of glean a little light on these throws with anticipation, the placement, layering the football into certain spots. They may not wow the average fan, but for somebody that really knows the position, these are incredible balls that he's throwing out there over the last several weeks. Yeah, I mean, look, that's exactly what I've been doing with these quarterback breakdowns, right? On my YouTube is I just did Brock Purdy, and I usually break down 10 plays from every game, and I pick the best plays and some of the worst plays and try to show. I had 15 plays of Brock Purdy. I had to cut it down because all these throws were amazing, and so it's just one of those things where we know what he does with these layered throws. He's been doing that over linebackers in front of safeties for a long time. That's sort of his superpower. What I think he's added here is he's not really throwing blind, but he's manipulating defenses a lot more than maybe he has in the past. Meaning, hey, like on the Juwan Jennings touchdown, he looks right at Tongas, and he's just dropped back. If you watch the back view of it, he's just staring at his tight end. And he knows where Juwan Jennings is going to be. And as he's staring at the tight end, which they already threw to early in the game, all 3 underneath defenders collapse on Tongas. And he's able to, without even really looking, just turn his head slightly, his feet are toward Tongas, and throw like this layered throw between that ended up being the game winner. There's a lot of these. And I think his arm strength has gotten stronger. You look at what he's been able to do in play action. I've seen a lot more. I don't know if it's me, or I don't know if it's Kyle Shanahan, or maybe I'm just wanting to see this, but it seems like he's
throwing the football to the field a lot more. Maybe he didn't as much in the past because he's really always lived in between the numbers. That's a very difficult place to play. But I've seen him throw a lot more to the field outside of the numbers, and they're doing more like post corner routes or doing more grab routes, which is like a post and a dig over top. And he's just been extremely accurate throwing the football. He's never going to wow you with his arm strength, and that's not his game. His game is timing, anticipation, and accuracy. Did you see the Alex Smith interview with Brock Purdy on ESPN Countdown by chance?
I saw a clip of it. I missed the entire thing.
Well, the clip was pretty. I mean, but he had these glasses on, these Ray-Ban glasses, Brock Purdy, and then they had tackle dummies in front of them. They had 5 tackle dummies to say, hey, there's 5 offensive linemen. They put the glasses on. I thought this was so good. Brock's only 6'6", and when he's going, they tell their guys in San Fran, Kyle Shanahan tells Brock Purdy, you're only going to see the receiver about 75% of the time. We have to get you that other 25% to trust your timing, to trust the accuracy, and to throw open. And so they just showed like different windows that are, I mean, I know it because I've played, but I think it's really cool for somebody who doesn't know just how difficult that is.
Yeah, that's awesome. It is true, because if you talk to anybody in San Francisco, and when I do, it's his just feel for the game, Chase, his just the nuances of it, just the knack for just being a football player and kind of just knowing space so well is one of his kind of superpowers.
I feel like he's gotten more swaggy too.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Certainly. And he kind of just turns on once the lights come on.
Yeah, it's
not during the week.
I guess it's like you sign $200+ million deal, and then you're doing the Dougie, you're doing this, like, you know, and I'm like, dude, that's a big deal though, because like he's Iowa guy, like Iowa State, all this stuff. You can tell maybe that's not how he was, but that's how he sort of turned in. And you know, the teammates around him. I mean, you know, the San Fran's always used to that boombox and stuff. When you got your quarterback out there doing the Dougie and has 2 rushing touchdowns, like, tell me you're not going to play your heart out for that guy.
Yeah, he told Melissa Stark that after the game. I mean, he was like back to subdued Brock. He was just like, well, I think it gets everybody fired up and it gets the team kind of going. And if you know anybody from Iowa State and you know Matt Campbell's program when he was there, and if you've been there for pro days, I have been, it's just, those guys just know how to play football. They're taught how to play the right way. And Brock is a big example of that. All right, sticking with the NFC and the number 2 seed. If the Bears beat the Lions, they get that 2 seed. Philly still has a chance to do it. So let's talk about these 2 quarterbacks, Chase. I want to know if you're more impressed from what you've seen with Caleb Williams, which I know you are, or are you more concerned about what's going on with Philadelphia's offense and Jalen Hurts as they enter the postseason? Man, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
I mean, that is a tough one. How about we just talk both? How about we talk Hurts first? Because the Hurts thing is interesting because a lot of defenders of Jalen Hurts will say, hey, you know, stats don't matter, wins matter. And yeah, it does.
He does win. I mean, I think there is something to being a winner.
Yes,
there is
unquestionable. But James, when you throw for 0 yards at least, I mean, was it 4 times in the second half?
Let's do this.
What is it?
He has won.
Okay,
He has won 2 games this year without completing a pass in the second half.
How?
Maybe that's the most impressive aspect of all of this.
How? I just, it blows my mind. Look, I think that tells you.
And this was against the reigning MVP.
And I think that tells you all you need to know about Vic Fangio and what he's done with his defense.
Very true.
And I think that they're finally figuring out the run game for Philly. You know, I've learned over the years, like, never to doubt Philly, because they just always find a way, even though it doesn't look right. And eventually, well, maybe eventually, they're just going to get on this run where they're going to start hitting these shots down the field. I just think that the offense is boring. And that's okay. If you have the defense and that's how you're going to win, you have to take the football and put it in Saquon Barkley's hand. You got to get, AJ Brown involved, and he's trying to do this. And look, that game on Sunday was a wet mess, and that's hard to play quarterback. Yeah, monsoon. But it's just something to see. Like, I'm not concerned about Hurts. Like, people are like, well, Chase, you're a biggest. I'm not concerned about him. I just think they got to figure it out. Like, it seems to be going and going. I don't think anything's going to change for the playoffs. If they're going to win, they're going to win these tight score games because of their defense.
Yeah, it's the highest rate of a 3-and-out at 29.2% in the NFL. So it's very hard to play offensive football like that through the postseason. And I know that in Philadelphia, there's a lot of issues with saying, hey, we're struggling on first down and we're having second and long. And then that leads to third and long. And we got to figure that out. I mean, listen, a lot of teams overcome a negative or just a no gain on first down. It happens. It almost seems like Philly's offense struggles with that. What I want to see from Hurts going into the postseason is this offense is different when he runs the ball more. If they're going to be in the gun and they're going to run that read option, but you need to have a threat. You know this, Chase, of the quarterback actually running the football. And when they go empty, it seems like that's helped them of late. And when they go under center, it seems like that's helped them of late. And they get away from it sometimes. And when we see it, I feel like the offense plays well. I don't know, but he does win. You're right. He certainly does. And let's get to Caleb here because I just like, I said this to Diana on the show earlier this week, Chase. I feel like I might trust Caleb over the vast majority of quarterbacks in a gotta-have-it drive already in year one with Ben Johnson and year two in his NFL career. I know the defense relies on turnovers, but this is the offense with Caleb. I mean, how impressed have you been? Because it just seems like it's building every week with him and Ben Johnson.
He's really comfortable in these situations. Well, I think that's the biggest thing that I've seen is like it's not too big for him. And that's sort of how they've played the entire year, right? 6 come from behind wins under 2 minutes and fourth quarter and overtime, whatever. And they almost had a 7th. Versus
they just ran out of time, honestly.
They ran out of time. And I think I came away from that game, even though with the loss, like the Bears are for real, meaning like they can play with anyone in the AFC. I think right now the 49ers are playing the best ball out of anyone in the NFC, including like the Rams have sort of fallen by the wayside, including the Seahawks, all these guys. And so when you go on the road in a hostile environment and you're down, I think they was 4th down, and he's scrambling around and he's almost making a play to win the game. I just think that you don't like moral victories, but the way Caleb has been playing as of late, I think that's a big sign. Like they were already good on defense. They've gotten Colson Loveland involved, Luther Burden. I mean, they've been doing this without Romadunze. DJ Moore hasn't been fully involved. Like think about when they're fully healthy, if they get fully healthy and what they're doing. I mean, this is a big game. A big bounce back game for the Lions. I mean, the 2 seed will be good. And we talked about this in the pregame meeting is like, I mean, I just don't know if they match up well against the Packers. Packers are locked into the 7th seed and it's like a third time playing your division. You get them at home. I know you beat them at home, but it's just always tough. Jordan Love will be back, like all that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how everything shakes out.
Yeah, and that final drive, even though they came up short, I love that you brought that up because to me, Chase, there weren't like crazy runs or crazy throws. Like he worked the ball down the field
playing
on that drive,
himself.
Playing like a quarterback. And there's still just some efficiency things where people go, oh man, a couple of these layups, these intermediate throws that are there, and he just seems to miss them. If that happens, look out with all the pass catchers that you mentioned. And he does have that just elite talent of throwing the football. Not too many people can place a ball into a receiver's hands 60 yards downfield, but he has to be doing it.
Yeah. And Daniel Jeremiah said, put something on Twitter and I retweeted it because I think DJ does a great job. He mentioned, he's like, Caleb Williams is up there for the strongest arm in the NFL after that free play touchdown to Colson Loveland. Dude, I don't doubt that. Like, it's a crazy thing to say with Josh Allen and all these other guys, Trevor Lawrence. And the dude, for whatever reason this year, the ball jumps off his hand more so than I've ever seen it before. It's impressive.
Interesting. He might be the best quarterback rolling to his left, too, that I've seen.
Oh, gosh.
Just the ability. And that's so hard from a quarterback's perspective. You know it, how hard that throw is. The last division in the NFC, I'm just going to say this, Chase, so everybody at home knows it. We know that we have the Panthers and the Bucks. And apparently somebody will win this division.
Weird.
And they're going to play. If the Bucks win, they are in. Also, if the Panthers lose, that's not exactly true that the Bucks are in, because if the Falcons beat the Saints in the last game of the season, and we know that coaching staff is coaching their tails off for their jobs right now in Atlanta, and the end of the season matters to Arthur Blank. If the Falcons win that game, Carolina could be essentially just in, even if they lose the game to Tampa Bay. Just a fascinating turn of events in that division.
So weird.
It's very, very, very
Saints aren't
bizarre.
losing to the Falcons, though. Tyler Shuck's playing unbelievable.
Are you loving Tyler Shuck right now?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I'm breaking him down right after this call on the YouTube, so check it out.
Just keep me on. I won't say anything. I'll just stay on while you're breaking it down. I just want to listen. Yeah, I just want to listen to the live. I just want to listen to the live breakdown. All right. We also know that a division is up for grabs, not as complicated as the NFC South. It's the AFC North, and that is the Ravens and that is the Steelers in Pittsburgh. The winner goes to the postseason. The loser goes home, Chase. I also think asking around the league, there's just a different feel around both of these organizations than there's been in years past. Could this be what happens if the Steelers lose and an aging roster and Mike Tomlin decides, guys, I might want to step away, try something different? Does he do TV for a year? Do they want him to be part of the rebuild? They'll never fire him, but just a different feel than years past with one of the best coaches in football. You could say the same thing for John Harbaugh when a lot of people had them as their Super Bowl pick, myself included. I think Diana on the show did as well, with as good as that roster has been. What do you think about this matchup? What are you looking for specifically, not just in this game, but moving forward maybe? Whoever gets it will get the 4 seed, the loser eliminated. Let's start with the Ravens, and I'm assuming we want to see Derrick Henry.
Well, Derrick Henry. I mean, it's just like, hey, just feed him the rock. 40 carries. Like, this is a winner go home game. Just give him the ball. Like, Lamar Jackson is going to play. I don't know. Sue Huntley, I don't know. But I just think that's sort of what the Ravens have not done this year. They've gotten away from it. Obviously, Lamar's been hurt in and out. It just hasn't been a good year for them. Even when he played, has not looked good. But my thing is, I think a more interesting point to this is, do you really think, James, that if the Steelers lose or the Ravens lose, both those head coaches, do you think they will actually happen to go? I hear all this stuff about going into TV. That's even more crazy to me, is these are legendary coaches. Do they want to go to TV?
Why do you think that's on the table now? Who did it work for?
Well, I mean, I know Sean Payton. I got it. But
a very long tenured coach with one team, with a lot of success. And when a team needed to go through essentially a change, like New Orleans was going to go through, because that's the team that maybe kicked the can down the road more than anybody in terms of just never admitting that we need to kind of rebuild this thing. Sean kind of lets them reset. Kellen Moore comes in, who I think has done a good job. They might have their quarterback, like you mentioned, in Kyler Shuck. He takes a year to evaluate and figures it out. I think I'm just saying, I think, and I know this because we work in television, that everybody would be clamoring for Mike Tomlin to be a part of the broadcast. 100%.
You think he'd call games, or you think he'd be studio
analyst? Yeah. 100%.
I mean, he'd make it easy, $10 million for a year.
To talk. Yeah.
More time with your family.
Cool 10, cool 10. Just, but you also, and you call games and you've done studio.
Yeah.
He fits studio better just because there's more time. Yeah. Obviously, you're not in as much of a rush. You have to be really snappy in those games. Chase will do that during the Orange Bowl, certainly. I'm looking at, honestly, whoever plays quarterback, and we've seen this from Snoop Huntley, is don't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
I really think that's how the Ravens will win this game. This defense in Pittsburgh relies on turnovers big time. I mean, that's how they play defense. They're 4th in the NFL with a plus 11 turnover differential. They have 98 points off of turnovers. Only the Bears and the Jags have scored more. Snoop Huntley hasn't turned the ball over in any of his action this year. I think that's massive. The other part is, if TJ Watt does return, they want him to, obviously this isn't an injury. This is a medical procedure, and it's obviously a different type of thing. And that's why Mike Tomlin wants him to practice in full for a week before he returns. I think whether it's Snoop or Lamar, I think his ability to read the option game at the edge might be the best in football. And that's a difference maker in how this Ravens offense could operate.
Well, I just don't know how the Steelers are going to score points.
That's what I wanted to get to. What's your take on what Aaron Rodgers, obviously, maybe the greatest thrower of the football of all time. What do we see with no DK Metcalf, which in this game, when they played each other last time this season, I believe he had 7 catches for 148 yards, 12 targets. He was their passing offense. He has been their passing offense. What does Aaron do? Do they use this tight end room that he loves? But also, oh no, Darnell Washington is out with the broken forearm. It's very interesting to see what they're going to do. Any takes on what the week has been of how do we do this?
Well, look, they're not explosive. I think that's the biggest thing in this offense is that Baltimore is going to be able to sit in a 2 high shell look, try to stop the run, and just keep everything in front. Look, Rodgers is really good getting the ball out of his hands quickly, but you got Adam Thielen and MVS out there as your starting receivers. Donald Washington's out, DK Metcalf's out.
Don't forget Scotty Miller is
Scotty
out there
Miller.
For you.
And I just look, they have to be really good at drawing up plays that get open. They got to figure out a way to get the football down the field. They can't just live in the quick game. They can't just live in a 43-year-old quarterback scrambling out and talking crap to the Ravens team like we saw him do early this year. It's one of those things where if the Ravens defense comes to play, like I just don't know how many points the Steelers are going to score. That, to be completely honest with you, it's going to be hard.
I think that's the toughest part, because also in the we remember how terrible this Ravens defense started the season, right, Chase?
Yeah.
We were talking about it through the first 5-6 weeks. Well, after that, I mean, they have like arguably the best third down defense in football, arguably the best red zone defense in football from like week 6 on. Definitely played better. Those are two things that the Steelers are going to have to do when you can't have explosive plays. You got to convert third downs. And against this Ravens team that you may be limited possessions if they do run the football with Derrick Henry well, which, by the way, if Lamar's not playing, he gets 8.1 more yards, 8.1 more carries per game this season when it's a backup quarterback compared to Lamar. So we'll see what ends up.
So you're saying take the over in rushing yards on Derrick Henry.
I would say that might be the smart play. And it is kind of ironic, I'll say this, with George Pickens and everything he did off the field and all the issues they had with him. They said, we got to get him out of the building. Well, he has an all-pro season in Dallas, and now we have DK Metcalf suspended due to off-the-field issues in this last game, the receiver you brought in to replace him. Ironic. How do you say it? Ironic. There we go. 9th time's the charm, James. Coming up on Scoop City on a Thursday, we're going to talk about some New Year's resolutions, perhaps for the Rams, the Packers, the Bills. What do they like to have happen in 2026? Happy New Year, everybody. We'll be back. Happy New Year. Welcome back to Scoop City on a Thursday. James Palmer, Chase Daniel with you. We're going to talk some New Year's resolutions. I'm dressed for it, so I'm going to dish them out, Chase. We're going to start with the Los Angeles Rams. At one point, just a few weeks ago, they were controlling their own destiny for the number 1 seed. Now they're sitting at possibly the 6th seed in the NFC postseason. They end up losing to the Falcons. There have been some issues of late, perhaps maybe a leaky run defense, perhaps Matthew Stafford turning the football over like he did earlier in the season. What would be your New Year's resolution for the Rams, who I still believe might be the most dangerous team in the postseason if they have everybody healthy and put it all together? New Year's resolution for Sean McVay and his group is what?
That's a tough one, because it's like they looked unbeatable for a while. Then all of a sudden it's a little bit of a leaky run. But you're playing Bijan Robinson. And then
I know I will say this. I did text some people. I was like, hey, is there an issue with the Rams defense, or is that the best player on the planet? They're like, dude, best player on the planet, 176 yards after contact. They didn't block anybody.
That's crazy.
That's Bijan right there. So maybe that's part of it.
That's part. But also, like, the easy thing would have been to say, hey, a better special teams, but then they scored in the Falcons game, right? They blocked the kick, right?
Blocks it, returns it himself.
Blocks it, returns it himself. Jared Verse. They're an interesting team. I think obviously like the easy thing would be like, hey, Matthew Stafford, stop turning the football over. You know what's crazy is like they had the number 1 seed in their sight. They had home field throughout. They had an MVP locked up, and all those things are, I think, probably gone. The way Drake May's obviously
gone? You think the MVP's gone? You're going
dude,
to Drake.
I think when you throw 3 interceptions,
hate the Drake, love the Drake.
Yeah, when you throw 3 interceptions, and it's just if Drake ends up continuing to play hot. I mean, the Drake has been really steady all year long. And same with Stafford. There's really no dips or anything like that. I just think, I mean, obviously the betting favorites, Drake May, I think it's very close. But I think would just be like, hey, like when they get behind, they're not as good. And here's the thing, for all that being said and all these issues, they almost came back and won. Like Puka almost had the best catch ever.
That was unbelievable. I mean, people got mad at me on Twitter when I was like, oh, that's a catch.
Yeah,
and until we saw the last replay, and everybody's like, yeah, you're wrong. I'm like, okay, bro, I saw the next replay when you saw the next replay. Relax.
Just causing Twitter beef over here. But yeah, I just think not like turning the football over, and they know who they are. You know, what's interesting too is like, for at least the last 3 years, we've seen the Rams sort of struggle early in the year and then they get going late in the year. This year's a little different where they got going early in the year. Then as the playoffs are here, they're sort of starting to struggle a little bit more. Hopefully that's not an indication. Hopefully they can keep it going.
Yeah, you know what? That's a great point, because what did Sean McVay do when he took the podium down there in Atlanta immediately after that game? Oh, we're playing our guys. in week 18. That was not what he did, obviously, last year. Remember, they rested them in week 18, and then they wanted to be healthy going into this postseason run. I think he has a sense, Chase, of exactly what you described of, hey, we're playing great football early. We've kind of had a couple of missteps here. We need to play everybody in week 18, get back to this Rams football that we're used to seeing. And I think it is difficult on Stafford. We know how good him and Devontae Adams are in the red zone, and with Adams off the field, it's just a little bit of a different offense from the 20 and in, especially in the short area, red zone. And then you're missing your two best offensive linemen as well. Let's not overlook that at all.
That's
and what's happened there for this Rams offense as well. I still think they're very, very dangerous, but I think the New Year's resolution would be, hey, we changed what we're doing in our first game of the new year from what we did last year. And let's see if that carries over into the postseason. All right. How about the Bills? Did you like that they decided to go for 2 very quickly? Yes or no?
Yeah, I did. Okay. I did. And it was not even like the
throw was there.
A thought. And McDermott was like, let's go 2 even before that, so I did like it. The throw was there, just missed it.
Yeah. Okay. So New Year's resolution for Josh Allen and the Bills, as they will have in week 18, their perhaps final game at Highmark Stadium. I've spent many a days there on that sideline, just absolutely just frozen to my core. What do you want to see in terms of a new resolution heading into 2026 in this postseason from Josh Allen and the Bills?
I want to see someone else step up other than Josh Allen, James Cook. I want to see a receiver. I want to see somebody else take over the game and be like, I'm going to make a play. Josh Allen, you can just feel the angst in Josh Allen when it's like nut cutting time. It's just like, hey, you're going to sit there and you're just like, I got to make a play. I got to make a play. And more often than not, he does. And for how horrible he looked, I mean, they looked bad, James. Mm-hmm. They looked bad for 3.5 quarters. All of a sudden, the last 2 drives of the game, boom, 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 touchdown,
David Tyree catch. Yeah.
David Tyree catch, all that stuff. I want to see someone else take over and be like, I can be that guy. Like just it's a mentality and they got to work on it. And it just hasn't happened. The receiver room is a lot left to be desired, I think. Certainly. And it's one of those things where Josh Allen just feels the pressure to be perfect every single game. And more often than not, he has been. But when he's not, someone else needs to step up.
Yeah, and he still leads all quarterbacks in rushing yards, obviously all quarterbacks in rushing touchdowns. He's third in the NFL in that. The foot, to me, would be a New Year's resolution. We keep getting an X-ray after every game, so obviously something is really bothering him. Yeah. And you're right. That plays into, I think, this weight on his shoulders going like, I feel like I got to do a lot. Before I move on, I have a really quick question for you because I talked to a defensive coach who went against him in the last several weeks, and he said, the funny thing about Josh is he is a magician. A warrior, unbelievable what he's doing this year. When he's off script, it is nearly impossible for us to figure out defensively how to defend him with everything that he can do, how long he holds the ball, how he can wait at the line of scrimmage, but still burn you with his legs, all these things. But he said it's something interesting going, but when he's in structure and the play is within the pocket in structure, we don't fear him a ton.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Is that part of what's happening with the offense with lack of production from the outside? What do you think that means when I'm being told that?
Well, I just think that obviously his superpower is extending plays with his feet, obviously rushing yards, rushing touchdowns in the red zone, all this stuff. But when he's in rhythm and going, it's not like they're throwing the ball deep down the field. I mean, they got some play action stuff, but it's like, hey, 1, 2, 3. Let's throw a hitch route. 1, 2, 3. Let's throw an in route. It's one of those things where you almost want him to stay in structure because he's not.
Yes. It's not as detrimental to you as a defense.
It's not as detrimental to you. You can continue. Like that's how people have gotten the best, I think, of Buffalo is like when they just make Josh, when they don't allow him to escape the pocket, they make him play in structure and they don't give up the big play outside from these scrambles. That's when Josh Allen has struggled because it's really for anyone. It's like, hey, when you continually doing that, you get a little bit bored. You're like the whole thing is like, don't go broke taking a profit, which means like as a quarterback, just take completion. At some point, you're going to get bored, and he wants to make these Superman plays. That's when he's dangerous. I think defensive coordinators are trying to get him to play boring because the big play is not there as much.
Yeah, I love that, and I always thought and I still believe it to this day, that is what separated Tom Brady from everyone, because he never got frustrated.
Never got bored.
Never got bored ever. You're going to give me the check down, I will take it 100 times in a row, and I will never get bored of doing it.
1000%.
I still think that's the different part of him from Manning to anybody. All right. How about to the Green Bay Packers? We know they're the only team essentially just locked into where they're at right now, and that's the 7th seed. I believe for the 3rd consecutive season, they are the 7th seed. What would be a New Year's resolution for Matt LaFleur and his group as they head into the postseason, who I still think are a dangerous team, Chase? I don't think anybody wants to play the Packers.
Yeah, the Packers are the weirdest team. I want to believe in them so much because you see their roster.
There's certain weeks where you're
they look unstoppable. So mine would be consistency, right? Mine would be consistency offensively and defensively. Get Jordan Love healthy. I think Jordan Love has actually played really well this year. He's been pretty consistent, healthy for the most part of the year. I think it's just the consistency level. Early, middle of the year, they tried to get too tricky on offense. Just run your base 10, 15, 12 plays and do it a bunch of different ways and just do that. There's a lot of motion, shifts,
searching?
this, that.
Was that them searching, Chase, when they remember they lose Tucker Kraft, who was kind of their best weapon. Was that stretch them trying to figure out, okay, this is our intermediate passing game. This is what we do with this. Is that them searching a little bit, you think?
I think so. I think they're searching to try to find I think it took a long time to find who they were. And I think that they know who they are. That's a run first team. They do a lot of really cool stuff running the football. But as long as Jordan Love is out there and LaFleur's out there, he's still one of the better offensive minds in the game. They just got to be consistent. It's going to always come down to consistency with the Green Bay Packers, because one week they look good. Obviously, losing Micah, and that's never a good thing, especially for a playoff run. But I think that defense has played pretty well for the most part.
Yeah, I think it's just going to fall on Jeff Hafley's shoulders. And you look at what he's tried to do, whether it's simulating pressure. He's brought more pressure. He's brought more blitz type stuff since they've lost Micah Parsons, trying to figure out a way to get some of that pressure on the quarterback. But I think he still leads the team in sacks, tackles for loss, and pressure. I think still.
Is that good?
So yes, was he doing all right? I think he was fine. Before we go to break, I do want your take on Malik Willis. And obviously, Chase, you've played the position for a very long time. This is a small sample size. But when I ask around the league, people are going, this might be something. There were some things I liked, and now it seems like he might have went to a very good, let's just say it, and maybe people, Ed Policy should listen to this. Matt LaFleur is a very good coach and a very good offensive mind. It was nice to sit there and maybe learn a little bit from Malik Willis. What have we seen from him? Because we might, not see him again in a Packers uniform, honestly. And he might get paid this offseason.
Yeah, you're not going to see him in a Packers uniform. He is going to get paid for sure. He's the top free agent quarterback in my opinion. And I think the thing that I like about him is early in his career, just wasn't sure about how he was as a passer. It's okay, he's a good runner. But when you get into a system and when you get into an offensive play caller like LaFleur, and you can actually sit there and learn, and you don't have the pressure as a young quarterback to play and play often and play early, and you can sit back on the sideline and just sort of see how Jordan Love runs it. Oh, that's how it's supposed to look. Okay. Now it'll be interesting to see where he goes. There's not a lot of teams that need quarterbacks that are as well set up as the Packers, right? The Colts come to mind a little bit.
Moving on for Daniel Jones. Okay.
I'm just saying, we'll see. But I don't know. I mean, I think this is going to be a good guy. I wonder what the contract will look like. Is it going to be like that $12 to $18 million range one where you're the bridge starter? Are you going to get Justin Field contract for the Jets? Are you going to get 20? It'll be interesting to see, but hopefully he's a good agent.
Yeah, hopefully he's going to. Yeah, I asked around about that yesterday a little bit, going with a couple of GMs, assistant GMs, what do you think would be in play for Malik Willis for contract wise? I said 15, 20 million. Is that going to be reached? And they were like, that's a little reach. But with incentives that could be reached. Yeah. And that could be essentially, that was an interesting way it was put to me, that's how the contract could be structured. You mentioned 12, 14, maybe it's somewhere in that range. And he has the ability to get to 20 or something. He has the ability to get to 18. That seems to be where teams are at. It was funny. I did talk to a team that said, man, we really liked him and we have a quarterback. We're kind of hoping we could bring him in as our backup. That's now completely not happening. They're like, that is not happening for us now. And we really liked him. Thought he could come in, but that's not happening here. All right, I am dressed to the nines. I am going to tell everybody what my plan always is with the family on New Year's. I'm curious what Chase's is. Do we lie about when the ball drops? Do we show the one that happened in London sometime mid-afternoon and just say, oh, yeah, and then you got to go to bed? We're going to talk about New Year's and whether it's still important or not. Ryan Seacrest, cover your ears. Coming up next, Scoop City. All right, closing it. I don't know how I said that. That was weird, huh, Chase? All right. I was like, all right, partners, let's close this out on a New Year's Day. Man, Texas, I know you guys like to spend time on a dude ranch as a family, vacation.
We do.
I know. You guys like to spend a little time out there on the ranch. Maybe that's where I picked it up. How about this, Chase? What is the take on the Daniel household about, like, New Year's? Does it still matter? Is it fun? Do you do anything? What happens?
I mean, obviously not. We're not getting dressed up in a tux like you, but it's overrated, dude. It was cool.
High school was cool.
In high school,
oh yeah,
right? Like it was like a big deal. My parents would get dressed up and they'd go out. We'd have a babysitter and it'd be fun and it'd be, we'd stay up and stuff. Honestly, our kids, I don't know if our kids are 8, 5, and 4. I don't know if they've ever seen the ball drop. Like we're on the West Coast, so ball drops 9. We watched the New York ball drops 9. I'm in bed most times by 9. I'm calling a game today in Miami. Like I wasn't home yesterday. I wasn't any of that stuff. So I think my wife would love for me to be there, but even she says it's overrated. And if the wife says it's overrated, then we're good. Like I just don't. I don't know. For whatever reason, it just doesn't hit the same anymore. I don't know. It's not like I'm going out and partying at the clubs. And
I know, right? Seriously, I'm just curious that I didn't know you had a babysitter in high school while New Year's was happening, which I thought was a bit interesting. We always knew the house that you would go to for New Year's, right? In high school, you're like, those parents are throwing a New Year's party, and everybody's cool if they stay here. And that was always the situation. But like fun. As I got into my career, in our careers and ways happening, the number of times I have been trying to sleep with a pillow over my head in a hotel room on New Year's Eve because I'm getting up at like 4 a.m. to do game day morning for NFL Network, and I'm at a stadium. I remember one time, this is great. I was in Miami doing a game at Hard Rock on New Year's Day. Dolphins, I can't remember who they were playing, but my drive to Hard Rock Stadium at like 4:30 in the morning to be there early enough for all the work I have to do at the stadium was terrifying. Because I'm like, am I the only sober person on this road right now? I was like, I need to get to this stadium. On New Year's Eve. To get to the stadium like now. Who else is out on the road right now other than me at 4 a.m. going to work?
Just getting the party started in Miami that time.
People are just, you're there right now, man. I don't know. My son's he'll stay up. He's become a night owl now that he's 13. So he'll be up, but it's not the same as it used to be. But it is still fun if you go, like we go to a friend's house, have like a nice dinner. Somebody cooks nice and everything. And then like, I think everybody's out of gas. And at like 12:05, everybody's like, all right, we're Ubering out of here. We're getting home.
That's late for me, man.
You're not hanging fun.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it doesn't affect me the next day.
Yes, absolutely.
It definitely does. It's just it might be a little slow. Need a workout the next morning to sweat it out. Chase, have a great call tonight.
Appreciate it.
I'll be listening. I'm not going to lie because this is a big deal. So enjoy that. We will see you next week when we're going to be chatting postseason football. Who's playing who? What are we looking for on Scoop City? Enjoy it, everybody. Merry New Year.
Thanks for watching Scoop City. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and feel free to leave a comment. New episodes of Scoop City drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.